Each year, PolitiFact announces their lie of the year, and they have been documenting throughout 2015 Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's statements on their truthometer. 76% of Trump's statements have come in at mostly false, false, or pants on fire. No other politician has had as many statements rated so far down in the truthfulness rankings, and that makes Donald Trump's 2015 lies the PolitiFact lie of the year. But before we get into the specifics, let's look at a list of past lies of the year from PolitiFact, starting in 2009, when Sarah Palin said, and I think we have this, we have a list here for people to take a look at. In 2009, Sarah Palin said that the Affordable Care Act would lead to government death panels that dictated which types of patients would receive treatment. In 2010, the lie of the year was some opponents of Obamacare saying it is a government takeover of healthcare. That was not true. In 2011, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee said that a 2011 budget proposal by Congressman Paul Ryan meant that, quote, Republicans voted to end Medicare, which of course wasn't true. In 2012, Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney said President Obama sold Chrysler to Italians who were going to build Jeeps in China. That wasn't true. In 2013, President Barack Obama's promise that if you like your health care plan, you can keep it was the lie of the year. Millions of people were not able to keep their health care plans because they did not meet the requirements of the Affordable Care Act. And last year, 2014, 16 separate statements made by various commentators and politicians about the Ebola virus being easy to catch, that illegal immigrants were carrying it over the Mexican border, et cetera, not true. So that was past lies of the year. Let's look now at some examples of the lies of the year for 2015 from Donald Trump, the first being a pretty recent one. I watched when the World Trade Center came tumbling down, and I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down. Thousands of people were cheering. That video does not exist, and we have no reason to believe that Trump was telling the truth there. Next lie from Donald Trump: the Mexican government, they send the bad ones over. Of course, there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Mexico is encouraging criminals to cross the border or anything like that. Yet another lie from Donald Trump. Next lie of the year from Donald Trump: whites killed by whites, 16%. Whites killed by blacks, 81%. That was an infamous retweet from Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. Of course, not true. White people and black people killed basically evenly by people of their own race. And as we know, Lewis, people tend to primarily associate with those of the same race that they are. And this leads to a high level of intra-race violence. Continuing with Trump's lies of the year: if you're from Syria and you're a Christian, you cannot come into this country, and they're the ones that are being decimated. If you are Islamic, it's hard to believe you can come in so easily. In fact, it's one of our main groups of people that are coming in. Of course, this is wrong. There is absolutely no U.S. law or regulation that discriminates against Christian refugees or anything of the sort. And then an economic lie from Donald Trump saying the last quarter, it was just announced, our gross domestic product was below zero. Whoever heard of this? It's never below zero. A two-part lie there, Lewis. On the one hand, the domestic product was not zero. And on the other hand, the domestic product has been below zero 42 times over 68 years. And then the last one of Donald Trump's lies of the year: the unemployment rate may be as high as 42%. Of course, we've debunked that countless times. This is buying into the labor force participation conspiracies. The highest number we could reasonably sort of assess as the possible top-level unemployment rate, if you include more than just the U3 and bump it up to the U6, is about 14%. So Trump is a pro at this stuff, right? We talked about his truthful hyperbole on a previous show, Lewis. He does a very good job at using simple language and appealing to low information voters, and it's garnered him a steady 30-ish% support among Republican voters, but no shortage of lies, and PolitiFact calling them the lies of the year.
Yeah, it's a great collection of stuff from Trump. The way he plainly speaks, it appeals to people, and it really works for any candidate. It's not just him, and it's not just his base.
Well, I think it's because he just doesn't really care. I don't even know that he believes a lot of this stuff, but
Right.
he's willing to make this into a really big show, and he's getting some of the benefit of it. You very quickly can build support, but I think we are increasingly seeing, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, that Trump's ceiling has been reached very, very quickly.
Yeah, and yeah, we're still not sure if this is all one big joke, but the lies are real. And thank you to PolitiFact, I guess, for bringing it to our attention.
And for those saying PolitiFact lies of the year are always from Republicans, as I told you in that first list we looked at, absolutely not the case.